All right, hello everybody. I'm back this time with my good friend Ty, and we will be reviewing the Summerslam 2017 pay-per-view. Now, this was a long pay-per-view, about the same length as a WrestleMania 33, 94 hours long. But we're basically just gonna run down the card, give you our thoughts, tell you what was the worst and what was the best, and then grade the show overall on a scale of 10. So, first match was on the pre-show. It was a 6-man tag match between Miz and the Miztourage, and the Hardy Boys, and Kurt Angle's son, Jason Jordan. Now, if you saw the match that they had on Raw 6 days prior to the pay-per-view, it was the exact same match, except the decision from Raw and the decision on the pay-per-view were flipped. This time, The Miz and his clique won instead of the Hardy Boys and Jason Jordan. But the story coming out of this match is that they basically performed in front of like 30-something people. And even though the match wasn't that good and the whole situation was terrible on its own, it spawned like one of the greatest, well, not one of the greatest, but easily the best promo of the year from The Miz. So that was my piece. I'm going to let my friend Ty speak. Go ahead.
Okay, so I was not there to watch this match live. I heard that there were barely enough people to even witness the match in that building. To me, it was just a pointless 6-man tag. I was really looking forward to Miz and Jason Jordan 1-on-1 for the Intercontinental title. That is my favorite belt of all time. So it's always cool when they spotlight the Intercontinental title on the big shows. They did it at WrestleMania, but it was on the pre-show, which I was kind of disappointed by. And as Tony would tell you, ever since probably December, I was pushing Dean and Corbin for the Intercontinental title. And I got my wish, but I wanted it on the main show. So I was kind of just disappointed. And as far as this match, again, I didn't see it, so I don't really have an opinion on it. But like my co-host, Tony, said, it led to Miz cutting one of those talking smack-esque promos. Yes. And everything he said was pretty much true. And it's just adding to Miz's stock as one of the best ever in my book.
One of the best talkers ever.
One of the best talkers ever. Okay. And Intercontinental champions.
Okay, all right. So since I'm the only one that saw the match, out of 10, if I had to give it a grade, I would give it a 3. Because, like I said, if you saw the match on Raw, it was the exact same match. And even that match on Raw, that wasn't really that good either. Whatever they're doing with, whatever they're trying to do with Jason Jordan or whatever, it's not working. Either they turn him heel or they drop this storyline altogether. Because this whole babyface, next Kurt Angle thing that they have going on is not working at all. So, 3 out of 10 for me.
You know what I would like to see? I know Kurt is still taking tests apparently. I'm not sure if he can wrestle or not, but you know they're building the Survivor Series as Raw versus SmackDown as a sort of fantasy booking type deal. I would like to see Kurt Angle and Jason Jordan versus Gable and Shelton.
No. Okay.
Just gonna throw that out there. So WWE, if you're listening, book it.
Got you. But yeah, 3 out of 10. So, the next match on the pre-show was the SmackDown Tag Team title match. Oh no, it was the Cruiserweight title match between Neville and Akira Tozawa. Now, these two have been fighting for the past 6 years. So, this was supposed to be the big final blow-off match that they had. No, actually, they had a match on 205 Live.
That was really good. Y'all should
go
watch it. Recommend it.
But this match on SummerSlam, I personally think that out of all the matches that they had, if it wasn't the worst, it was close. The first match that they had at I can't
Great
remember.
Balls of Fire.
Yeah, Great Balls of Fire. That match was really good. Then the match that they had on Raw 6 days before this pay-per-view was really good too. And then the match on 205 Live, that was good. So this probably was the worst out of the four. But another thing is if this match was supposed to, be on the show, why have it 6 days before, have Neville lose, then just have him gain the title back 6 days later? Why not just have Neville beat Tozawa again if the plan all along is to have Neville as a champion? That just creates a divide in his long reign as champion. And I think that was a bad idea as far as what to do with the cruiserweights. There's a lot of bad ideas with the cruiserweights, but that was a bad idea as well. But you can say your piece.
First of all, I think, and this is my honest opinion, I think Neville has been the best booked champion. Probably is dominant since Brock in 2014 leading into WrestleMania 31.
Are we talking about main roster or in
I'm talking about main
WWE's
roster. Okay.
general?
I'm talking about main roster.
All right.
Because I know Triple H likes to book his champions long in NXT and dominant.
Yeah, I was going to say Oscar.
Yeah, okay. So main roster champion. And when they announced the match on Raw, I just assumed, and they announced Balor and Wyatt, and we'll get to that match later on. I just assumed they were cutting matches because they realized the card was too long, and they were going to probably give the Fatal 4-Way like a whole 45 minutes to an hour. But I should have known it was a Brock Lesnar match. But anyway, back to Neville and Tozawa. Personally, and I like the feud. I'm glad that it's given Titus something that he was meant for, which is a managerial role with Titus Worldwide. I'm very entertained by that. I don't think that Tozawa was the man to even defeat Neville. I think that honor should have went to Austin Aries, but he messed up backstage. I don't know what happened. His ego got in the way. Honestly, at this point, since Neville has defeated Tozawa, and now that Enzo is on 205 Live, I really don't want to see Enzo as champion because Neville has been so dominant that I get it. I get Enzo's value as a character, but in the ring, it's not there. And I don't think that if people like Jack Gallagher, Rich Swann, T.J. Perkins, Austin Aries, like if they couldn't beat Neville, like why should Enzo? Yeah. Like it doesn't make any sense to me. But I am intrigued by the future potential of this feud. I saw this match live. This is when I actually started the SummerSlam show. And I would give it about a 7. I think their 205 Live match was a 10 out of 10, to be honest. So I would recommend that. Yeah, it was one of those matches where I'm gonna be honest, I was on my phone, but it was one of those matches that caught my attention because it was so good.
Got you.
Yeah, I actually just turned around looking at the TV like, oh, this match is they're going hard. They're going for it.
Pretty good.
So I'm glad the feud is over though, and I'm glad that Neville is still your reigning defending cruiserweight champion. And I just hope that one day Vince will put 205 Live back in Full Sail, because as far as the show, it's good, but the crowd just doesn't seem that much into it. The SmackDown after crowd, they need to put it in a crowd that will appreciate it. That CWC crowd, they need to put it back where it all began. But yeah, congrats to Neville. I honestly hope, because there's no one believable to beat him right now, I honestly hope he holds that thing till WrestleMania next year.
Okay. Well, yeah, if I had to give the match a grade, I would give it a 6 out of 10. Like I said, I personally believe that it was the worst out of the 4 matches. Like you said, the way that they booked Neville, or the way that they're booking Neville now, he doesn't really have any competition in 205 Live. Because, yes, they booked Neville really well, but they're not booking another babyface up at the same level that he's being booked. So now that he's beaten Austin Aries, who probably was the only person believable enough to take the title off of him, he beat him, he beat Tozawa, and I mean, yes, Enzo's the next opponent or whatever, but Enzo can't wrestle. He can talk, but he can't wrestle to save his life. So if they did put the belt back on Neville just to give it to Enzo, I feel like that would be the worst booking decision of the year. But at this point, at this point in time, who do you put up against Neville now? He's beaten everybody that could believably beat him. I mean, the only other wrestler on 205 Live is probably Cedric Alexander, but they haven't really done anything with him since he's been on Raw or 205 Live either. So I can't believably see him beating Neville either. But yeah, 6 out of 10 for me.
7 out of 10 for me.
Worst match out of the 4. The next match on the pre-show, on the 6-hour-long pre-show, was the SmackDown Tag Team Championships, and it saw the Usos taking on the New Day. Now, this is another program in WWE that has been going on for the past 9 years, and while it's been going on for so long, every match that they have is really, really, really good. And because they've been fighting like over the past 2 or 3 years over the tag team championships. And out of all the matches that they've had over these past 2 or 3 years, I feel like this has been the best one that they've had. This is a really, really good tag team match. And it was the perfect way to cap off a really, really bad pre-show. This match had everything. It had the false finishes, the big spots. Xavier Woods is coming into his own as a wrestler.
Consequences Creed.
Yes, finally he's coming into his own as a wrestler. He doesn't look like the third member of the New Day anymore. He doesn't look like the reject of the New Day. He actually looks like as of now, he looks like the best wrestler in the New Day faction. And of course, the Usos, since turning heel, they've been on a roll as far as in-ring, character development, mic skills, all of that. In fact, they might be the best tag team, if not, definitely in WWE, but even in the world. So they're doing a great job with the Usos as well. At Battleground last month, the New Day finally won the tag team championships, and I thought that decision should have been saved for SummerSlam because it was on such a big stage. Even though it ended up being on the pre-show anyway, I feel like I'm not really a big fan of these win the championship then drop it the very next month for the sake of adding on to he won the title this many times or they won the title this many times. If you're going to put the championship on someone, you should put the championship on them and then give them something to do to make their championship run seem like it meant something. Like, now it's just they're switching the tag team titles back and forth just to add on to the legacy of both teams. And I don't think that's a good idea. You can do that with lengthy title runs as well. You don't need 10 tag team title reigns to say you're the best tag team of all time. New Day, 438 days or whatever, they already have the argument of being the best tag team of all time because they held the belts for so long. They don't need double-digit reigns to prove that they're the best tag team of all time. But that's really the only gripe that I have was the Usos winning again. If they wanted... they wanted the belt back on the Usos, they should have just kept them and add on to their legacy or whatever the case may be. But like I said, this match was a really, really good tag team match. And if I had to give it a grade out of 10, it would be an 8. It was a really, really, really good tag team match. But, yeah.
Okay, so I am a big fan of tag team wrestling. I feel like it was a slow period at one point, probably 2008 to 2011, where the tag team titles, it was just too, mixed up. It wasn't as exciting as it is now. With that said, this match is one of the best tag team matches, or was one of the best tag team matches I've ever seen as a fan of wrestling. I think it's the tag team match of the year, and I was holding that spot for the triple threat at TakeOver between DIY Revival and AOP. But this match just completely just blew that out the water. And I honestly think that when PWI or Meltzer or whoever gives their awards at the end of the year, I think this should be the tag team match of the year. And I think the Usos deserve to be recognized as the tag team of the year. Having these matches with the New Day and just overall reinventing their characters, and not to forget the classic matches that they had with American Alpha on SmackDown. Mm-hmm. I think this is their year. I honestly believe that. And WWE, you did it. You gave me what could be considered an all-time classic down the line on the pre-show. So, thank you. And by the way, Big E proved us right, because on the night before on the TakeOver pre-show, he basically said that they were going to steal the show. And if it wasn't for the 4-way main event, they probably would have done that. So, if I want to give this match a grade, I would say a 9. 9
out of 10.
Yes, 9 out of 10.
So, if you gave this match a 9 out of 10, what grade did you give the triple threat match from TakeOver?
I gave it an 8.5.
8.5. Got you. All right. Well, that was the pre-show. Now we're going to talk about the main show, SummerSlam, the 3-day-long SummerSlam main show. The first match on the main show had John Cena taking on Baron Corbin. Now, I can't remember the last time. I don't think John Cena has ever opened a SummerSlam. I could be wrong.
Maybe 2004 with Booker T.
Maybe, but
for the United States title.
Yeah, he might have opened the show then, but even still, that was
Cena before Super Cena.
13 years ago, and he's opening the show against Baron Corbin. Now, the story leading into this match: John Cena and Shinsuke Nakamura had a match on SmackDown 3 weeks ago to determine the number one contender for the WWE Championship. Shinsuke Nakamura beat John Cena, and then after the match, I believe Baron Corbin attacked Shinsuke from behind, or he attacked Cena from behind. Whoever he attacked, it ended up with him going through a table because of John Cena. John Cena hit an attitude adjustment through a table on Corbin. So now they had beef leading into this. So the weeks following up, Corbin tried to cash in his Money in the Bank. Cena cost him that. So now Corbin doesn't have the Money in the Bank briefcase anymore. So going into this match, I expected Baron Corbin to be super aggressive, super angry, and all that stuff. And he was just regular Baron Corbin. This match was really, 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 really bad. I think it was really, really, really bad. It was a lot of punching. Wasn't a whole lot of moves. Corbin did the same slide out of the ring, slide back in the ring. He did like 3 or 4 times. And then he ended up getting pinned off one attitude adjustment. And reading articles leading up to SummerSlam and things like that, it seems as if John Cena really has the final say in if someone's ready for a main event spot or not. And after this match, clearly John Cena does not think that Corbin is ready for that spot. Not only did he lose his Money in the Bank championship, his Money in the Bank contract, but he lost this match clean right in the middle of the ring. And the match wasn't even that good. So I don't know where you go from here with Baron Corbin. I don't know. John Cena's on Raw now, and he's setting something up with Roman Reigns. But as far as Baron Corbin, I don't know where you go from here. If I had to give this match a rating, I'd give it a 3 out of 10. Like, I think this match was really, really bad, and it was a terrible way to open up SummerSlam. Yeah.
Okay, first, the only nitpick I have with this match, in particular, Baron Corbin, is that run through the rope spot that you talk about.
The run out of the ring and run back in, yeah.
It's just like with Dean Ambrose. When Dean Ambrose first started doing the clothesline through the rope, it was cool the first 3 times he did it. Now he's just overdoing it. And it's getting to the point where it's getting rather annoying. Like, oh, he's just doing this move again. Like,
yeah.
Okay. I'm not gonna say I thoroughly enjoyed the match, but I thought it was decent. I just think it was wrong placement in the show. It should not have opened up the show. I guess WWE felt like, oh, the Usos and New Day basically opened up the show. So I guess they put Cena and Corbin there as the cool off because the crowd was so hot after Usos and New Day that they felt like, oh, how we gonna top that unless we put the main event at the beginning of the show or something like that. Like, how are we gonna top this match? Or they could have put Seth and Dean versus Sheamus and Cesaro, but that would be 2 tag matches back to back. I don't think they wanted to do that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I honestly think Corbin's not dead. Corbin's not dead in the water, but when Cena gives Vince that whole I don't think he's ready, either Cena could mean he's not ready at all, or he could be just not ready right now. And I was pushing for Corbin to be a world champion one day. I wasn't expecting it to be at the end of the year like some people were reporting, but I do want to see Corbin as a world champion. The match was just decent, and I hope Corbin can bounce back from it. He seems to be getting in a program with AJ Styles on SmackDown, possibly. So if I can give this match a grade, I would say a 6 out of 10.
Wow.
Just decent. The main problem with it for me was it was wrong placement in the card. And honestly, WWE kind of has a problem with that. Like, the way they structure their cards is something that needs to be worked on because it's just so jumpy. Like, I think they lost their touch on how to start a show. They know how to end the show, but I don't think they know how to really start a show anymore. So that's just my opinion.
All right, the next match on the card saw Natalya taking on Naomi for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Now, going into this match, I expected it to be a very good, technically sound match because both women are good wrestlers for the most part. This match didn't really have a story going into it, so the only way they were going to get the match over is if the wrestling was good, and the wrestling was good. My only problem with the match is that Natalya won. She won fair and square. Naomi tapped out, and now Natalya is the women's champion. And the issue that I have with that is not because Natalya is incapable of being champion. She's a great wrestler. But she doesn't really have an established character like Naomi does. Naomi has the glow time or whatever. Natalya very much like Bret Hart, isn't really anything special outside the ring. Naomi has the cool entrance and the glow in the dark belt and the glow in the dark hair and all that stuff. So if you're gonna take the belt off of Naomi, I feel as if you should give it to someone who is equal or better in every aspect. For example, well, not as of right now, because since she's been on SmackDown, she hasn't really done anything besides wrestle. But Charlotte, or even Becky. But I don't think Natalya, or even Carmella, when she's ready to hold the championship, because she has Ellsworth and all that stuff. She has something going on for herself outside of just wrestling. But as far as Natalya, she's a good wrestler, yes. But outside of that, what does she do? It's like the same thing with Tamina. Tamina can wrestle, but what's Tamina's character? She doesn't have one. What's Natalya?
Being ravishing, closing her eyes, feeling the anger. But then waking up and all of a sudden she's a beast. That's her character now.
I've never seen any of that. So what's Natalia's character?
Natalia's character, she's
Bret Hart's niece. She's Bret Hart's niece. So
she had a character when she was with Beth Phoenix, Divas of Doom, but
that was 7 years ago.
That was the only character
and then she had the farting gimmick, and then that was it.
And then being the valet for Cesaro and Tyson Kidd.
But she's a women's champion now. But that was my only gripe. The match was actually pretty good. The crowd wasn't very into it, but so minus all of that, it was a very technically sound match, like I expected it to be. So if I had to give it a grade, I would give it a 6. It was decent. Wasn't anything amazing. They went out there and did exactly what I expected them to do. They just had a good wrestling match. And with no story or anything going into it, I wasn't very excited. My hopes weren't high or anything like that. So they delivered the way I expected them to. So I'll give it a 6 out of 10.
I enjoyed this match for what it was. I just wish the crowd was more into it. Crowd reaction is a big part of my match grading, if you want to call it that, or how I feel about a match overall. Because if the crowd's dead, I'm going to feel that energy, and it's just going to make me feel like, this match is probably not that good if it's not being received well live. I think it was Natalya's time. Because I honestly think they gave her the belt for 2 reasons. I feel like they were just giving her the belt like, okay, you put all this work in. You've been a leader in the locker room. Here's the championship. You never complained about your spot. You always stay consistent with everything. And another reason why they gave it a belt is because I honestly believe, as a fan of watching WWE for years, I think this is about to be my 21st year as a fan. Mm-hmm. I think that Vince really loves anniversaries. He really loves, decades or, 50 years this or 20 years that. And this SummerSlam was the 20th anniversary of Bret versus Undertaker. Mm-hmm. Where Bret won his 4th WWE title? His 5th WWE title. And that's another reason why I feel like they gave it to Natalya, because Vince was like, we could have another Hart win it 20 years later, legacy. Mm-hmm. I think the match was really good. It's just, again, the crowd just wasn't into it, so that kind of lowers my grade scale on it, so I'm going to go with 7 out of 10. I think also what affected the crowd was, I think the crowd was expecting a cash in. Mm. And Carmella is from Brooklyn. Mm-hmm. So they were waiting for that big pop for Carmella, that big support for Carmella. And another thing that affected the match was something that you said, that there was no real story. Natalia just won a number one contenders match and nothing was built off that. They weren't even really on TV building up to SummerSlam. So I think that it was a bunch of different factors that affected the crowd and affected the decision to have Natalia win. I hope that this leads to, if they're serious about Natalia's title reign, I hope that this leads to her and Asuka at either the Royal Rumble or WrestleMania.
I think Asuka will probably end up going to Monday Night Raw. So there's that shot down right there. I think she's going to end up going to Monday Night Raw because the Raw's women division is really 3 people, 4, depending on how they feel about Nia Jax that week. So I think Asuka will probably end up going to Monday Night Raw. But yeah, I expected Naomi to retain the belt. And then Carmella cashed in because, like you said, this is her hometown. But Vince doesn't really care if you're in your hometown or not. He'll have you lose, get embarrassed, all types of things. He'll have you do anything except win. So I didn't really expect her to cash in now. And I don't really think she's ready to be women's champion. The same way Baron Corbin wasn't ready to be world champion, I don't think she's ready to be women's champion either. But that's another discussion for another time. The next match on the show was Big Cass taking on Big Show with Enzo Amore suspended over the ring in a shark cage. Now, the story leading into this match. Big Cass, for a number of weeks, had been attacking Enzo Amore from behind. He was attacking Enzo, and he broke up with Enzo because he felt as if Enzo was holding him back. They'd never won the NXT Tag Team Championships, and they had been on Monday Night Raw an entire year, maybe 2 years, a year or 2 years, before the eventual breakup, and they never won the Tag Team Championships on Raw. So he decided to go on his own and pursue a career as a singles guy. Now, personally, I think they had no business breaking up this tag team. Neither men are ready to be on their own. Neither men are ready to be single stars. Like I said earlier, Enzo Amore can't wrestle himself out of a wet paper bag. And not only can't Big Cass wrestle, he can't talk to save his life. He's not charismatic. When he does talk, he sounds like a robot. And it was the same thing when he was in the tag team. Enzo did all the talking, and Cass did, the heavy lifting. But whenever Cass had the mic and he was doing his little spiel or whatever, it sounded very robotic, very like he's not interested in being there. He doesn't care, this, that, and the third. So they had no business breaking up this tag team, and this match was even more proof. Or maybe it was because he was with the Big Show. But I can't even say that, because the Big Show, over the past year or whatever, he's had pretty good matches with another big man, Braun Strowman. So this match was just more evidence that they didn't really need to break up this tag team, because this match sucked. Like, just right off the rip, 1 out of 10. I think this worst match on the show. And the match after this lasted 12 seconds. But this match was so boring. It's not that nobody cares about Big Show, but it's the same thing with Kane. They're legends now. They don't really need to wrestle anymore. And even with Chris Jericho, like back in 2010, they're only there to put other people over. Well, except for Kane. Because he beat Bray Wyatt the last pay-per-view match he had. So, but they're only there to put the other person over. So knowing Big Cass is already going to win going into this, there's no excitement. And the way that they broke the team up, and the fact that they never won the tag team championships or anything like that, yeah, the story was there, but the way it was written and the way it was executed, to me, wasn't that good. So now they broke up a team that, yes, people cared about, But I feel as if they would have won the tag team championships a few times and then lost again, the way what's another tag team? The way DIY broke up. They won the tag team championships, but they couldn't win them back. So I feel as if they would have went the same route with Enzo and Cass, where they finally won, then Enzo kept costing them the tag team championships and all that stuff like that, and then they broke up, it would have meant a little more. But the way that they did it was very, I'm just frustrated, so now I want to be on my own, where even though I'm not ready for that spot yet, I'm still going to struggle. And that's what it is for Big Cass. So, yeah, this match was pits. And Enzo Amore is so annoying. He just kept talking and screaming and doing everything that he could to get the attention on him, even though he was 15 feet above the ring. So, I would give this match a 1 out of
10. I am a person who honestly would have felt completely different about this match had there not been a shark cage, and had Big Cass and Big Show not fight at least 2 times before SummerSlam. Mm-hmm. I felt like you could have built this up, because I really dislike when they put matches that have not been done before on free TV. I get the agenda that they're pushing now. They feel like, we need ratings and this and that, but Big Cass and Big Show is not a ratings grabber. You could have saved that for SummerSlam, the first encounter. And I like the story of Big Show going in as a one-hand man, because, the weapon of mass destruction, as he calls it, his fist, his KO punch, he uses that arm most of the time to execute the punch. So I thought that was a really cool story, but Big Cass is just, he showed hope during that 4-way where Owens won the Universal title, but he was wrestling with Owens, Rollins, and Reigns.
Yeah, 3 of the best in WWE right now, to hide all his flaws.
And when they first broke up, and Cass cut that great promo on Enzo, I was intrigued by it. But then as soon as he came out the next week with that awful theme music, and he doesn't captivate me yet. I think it's because he doesn't have a character. And he had a character when he was Enzo's brother, and, basically his ace in the hole, if you will, like always having his back, his bodyguard. He had character with that, but now he's just on his own. Like, he had motivation. He had clear motivation to break up with Enzo, but after that, like, what's your motivation now to prove that you don't need Enzo? You kind of didn't need Enzo from the beginning, to be honest, to be that big of a man, and, you can't teach that. So, if I was to give this match a grade, it would be a 2 out of 10. I'm going to be a little lenient. A little lenient.
2 out of 10 is lenient.
Yeah, that's lenient. For you to give it 1 out of 10, that's lenient.
Okay.
But they should have just saved this match. And I don't know where Cass... Oh, that's right. He's hurt.
Yeah, he got hurt.
He got hurt.
But where are you... Say Cass didn't get hurt. What is he going to do after this?
Feud with Roman Reigns.
Feud with Roman
Reigns. I mean, look, anything to save the money match that is John Cena and Roman Reigns, which they might do at No Mercy, and I'm just gonna be mad at that. I'm sorry. I'm not one of these fans who dissect and get mad at every little thing WWE does. But if there's one thing that really irks my nerves, is when they give away matches like that, even on B-level pay-per-views. Like, just don't do it. Just find a way to save it. I don't care if you gotta give me Roman Reigns versus Bo Dallas. Save the match. Don't give me Roman Reigns and John Cena at No Mercy, please. But that's another discussion for another day. But yeah, 2 out of 10. I don't think Cass is ready. Hopefully when he comes back, he'll be refreshed. He'll be renewed. Might update his moveset a little bit. Maybe Enzo will be healed by the time he comes back and they reform. Because I don't see Cass coming back and getting a babyface reaction. So, that's just my deal. That's my take.
The next match on SummerSlam was Rusev and Randy Orton. Now, story leading into this. I believe Rusev said he wanted a match at SummerSlam. Randy Orton answered his wish, came out on SmackDown, RKO'd him. And for the weeks leading up to that, it was basically him embarrassing Rusev every time Rusev was on TV. So, before the bell even rung for this match, Rusev attacked Randy Orton from behind, beat him down for a minute or two, got him to the outside of the ring, was beating him down on the outside of the ring. It didn't look like the match was going to actually happen. They rolled back into the ring. Randy says, yeah, let's have the match. Ref rings the bell. RKO. 1, 2, 3. Ref rings the bell again. It's over with. Now, I don't know. I understand that, Orton over the past, since WrestleMania, has had a lot of stinkers. And his character has taken a hit. And I understand that you want to build up Randy Orton back to the main event level. But at this point in his career, Randy Orton's already a legend. He's already established. He's at the level with John Cena where he can lose 100 different times and it won't matter because he's still Randy Orton. He still has the RKO and all that stuff. He'll still get a big reaction and people will want to watch his matches because of the RKO. So for Rusev to do the job in 9 seconds, it doesn't help anybody. It only hurts Rusev. Now this is the second year in a row where Rusev has been embarrassed at SummerSlam. Last year, Roman Reigns beat him up. The match never started. This year, even after jumping Randy Orton, he still lost in 12 seconds off one move. So, but I understand where they're going with this as far as the story. Because now Rusev has motivation to be angry. He has motivation. He wants to prove that, the match at SummerSlam was a fluke. And I get that. And that's the only reason why I'm not going to give this match a 0 out of 10. Because I understand where they're going with the match as far as in the future. So, give it a grade. I would give it a 2 out of 10. Strictly off of the story that they're trying to tell. Not the actual match. 2 out of 10.
I don't like the rate squash matches unless you're Brock Lesnar versus Cena at SummerSlam. I'm just glad that they just got this over with because I did not want this to go past 10, 15 minutes. If this was at, like, say, No Mercy or Hell in a Cell or whatever pay-per-view is next, fine. But this was not a SummerSlam-worthy match. And I'm glad that they went with a squash. And again, I can't rate it. I'm not going to give it no rating. I don't rate squash matches. I really don't. I know they serve a purpose. And it was just to help. I feel like it was just giving Randy a little bit of momentum after losing to Jinder 3 straight times. So, and losing to Bray Wyatt at Payback. So he needed something. And I don't know if the rumors of Rusev leaving are true, but if they are, hey, go tear it up, and whatever other promotion will hire you, and kick butt, man.
Yeah, so that was, if not Kaz versus Show, that was the worst match on the card. But the next match on the card was the Raw Women's Championship match, and it saw Sasha Banks trying to take the belt away from Alexa Bliss. Now, leading into this match, Bayley was supposed to be in this spot, but she hurt her shoulder, like, leading up to this match. So they had to hurry up and give Alexa Bliss an opponent for SummerSlam, which ended up being Sasha Banks. Now, this is another championship title change that I can't wrap my mind around. Sasha Banks, while last month, this one actually makes a little bit more sense if you look at it in hindsight. Because the last time these two wrestled, Alexa Bliss got herself intentionally counted out. So there was still that question if Sasha could beat her or not, or whatever the case may be. But leading up to this, Bayley was supposed to be in this spot. So my question is, if Alexa and Sasha, if they still have beef and all that stuff, why are you putting Bayley in this spot? Why not continue that program between Sasha and Alexa, especially since they have real life beef or whatever the case may be? You can build up off that, and you can have a really, really nice program between the two. And the match that they had at Great Balls of Fire was actually like pretty good. It was a pretty good match. And so was this match. It was pretty good. Not better than the match that they had at Great Balls of Fire, but it was still good, you know? But yeah, it didn't make sense why they were trying to put Bayley in this spot. So if Bayley was in this spot, she would have beaten Alexa Bliss, if you look at it that way, because they wanted the championship off of Alexa Bliss. I feel as if the story of Sasha always losing in Brooklyn, that could have been added to the build leading up to this match, even though they had like 2 weeks to try and build something up between the two. But now they're acknowledging it after it happened. But if they knew this going into it, they should have tried to play up on it to create a little bit more drama, to be like, can Sasha actually do it in the Barclays Center in Brooklyn or whatever? But she ended up winning. She's the new Raw Women's Champion. And if I had to give it a grade out of 10, I would give it a 7. Really solid match. No real complaints. And yeah, 7 out of 10.
This was a case where I set myself up for disappointment because I thought the crowd was pretty much dead up until this match. Or at least I figured that Sasha and Alexa would have some heat. It didn't really register on TV that they had heat. I thought that, we get like, let's go Sasha, let's go Bliss. Remember when we went to Extreme Rules and, during Bayley and Alexa, there was heat.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just assuming, there's real life, bad blood between these two. If people read the dirt sheets and this and that, I thought they would be more into it, but they weren't. And honestly, I think the crowd or the fans, I think they're cooling off on Alexa. I think they're saying that she's not that good in the ring. And in order to win crowds over these days, especially New York, you got to be good in the ring. And I think that she's not. And I thought she was going to progress. I thought wrestling the likes of Becky Lynch would help her progress in the ring, but she hasn't. She just punches and does the knee, the flip and then the knee, and then the twisted bliss. That's all she does, and she talks, which is good, but you got to add more to your arsenal. And as far as Sasha winning, let's hope that she keeps the title this time, and she holds on to it longer than a month. She defends it tomorrow. I'm nervous. I think she's going to lose. I think she's going to lose the title. And it's like, what are y'all doing? What are y'all trying to paint Sasha as? Are y'all trying to paint her? Y'all not making her look like a champion. Y'all making her look kind of like a chump because she can't really defend it. Like, am I wrong? Like, has she not successfully defended the women's title? Every time she defended, she lost.
She loses.
Every time. So hopefully they break the curse tomorrow, and that leads to something at No Mercy. And then she's completely done with that. And I want to see her dibble and dab more with Nia Jax. And if Natalya survives to Survivor Series and they're building Raw versus SmackDown, I would like to see Sasha Banks versus Natalya. I don't think I ever seen that before. So I'm always a proponent for first time ever matches. So I would give this match a 7. 7 out of 10.
All right. The next match on the show, this is a long show. There are 13 matches on the show. But the next match on the show saw the Demon Finn Balor take on the Eater of Worlds, Bray Wyatt. Now, to be honest with you, I have no idea why these two are wrestling. Whenever Bray Wyatt gets into a feud, I never know the motivation behind why he's feuding with someone. Like, yes, he can talk, and, you know, I get that that's a big thing or whatever, being able to talk, but I never understand what he's talking about. And I haven't really been, like, whenever the two interact on Raw, whenever they've interacted, I had no idea what was going on. They had a match on Raw 6 days before the pay-per-view, just like the Cruiserweight match. And Bray Wyatt ended up beating Finn Balor clean. So, if you're a smart wrestling fan and you know that the match at SummerSlam is still going to happen, you're saying to yourself, okay, so Finn Balor can't beat Bray Wyatt when he's regular Finn Balor. So, clearly at SummerSlam, the second biggest show of the year, he's going to become the Demon. But WWE thinks its audience is stupid. So what they do 6 days before the pay-per-view, just like they did last year, 6 days before the pay-per-view, they have Finn Balor. Well, last year they had Finn Balor come out in full demon paint, which blew my mind. What, 6 days before the pay-per-view? If no one's ever seen this, if Vince is saying to himself, no one's ever seen the demon, like, you shouldn't go, no one's ever seen the demon, so let's show him what it's like 6 days before. If no one's ever seen the demon and then he pops up at SummerSlam as that, then yeah, especially when he was talking about the demon, the entire build with Seth Rollins, they did a whole little backstory and all that about the demon and the eye on his back and all that stuff. And then this time, they have a little backstage segment where he says, Bray Wyatt has his demons, I have my demons too. And then 10 minutes later, Cole gets on TV and says, breaking news, the Demon Finn Balor will be at SummerSlam. If Finn did the backstage thing, why you have to announce it? That just spoils it for the people that know, and it spoils it for the people that are seeing Finn Balor for the first time and are seeing the Demon for the first time. Now I'm not excited. But this match was better than the match that they had on Raw. Easily. Because clearly on Raw they were holding back. They wanted to save some stuff for SummerSlam. But here's the thing, or the issue that I have with Finn Balor. Finn Balor is a good wrestler, yes. No doubt about it. But Finn Balor and the Demon Finn Balor are obviously supposed to be two completely different characters, correct? So if Finn, regular Finn, and the Demon Finn are supposed to be two different characters, the Demon Finn Balor shouldn't be wrestling the same exact way regular Finn Balor wrestles. The Demon Finn Balor should be more aggressive. His offense should be more strike heavy, and his finishing move should be more brutal and more devastating, like Bloody Sunday, the lifting DDT, for example, which he doesn't use as regular Finn Balor. So
They call it the 1916.
yeah, the 1916. So when you have the Demon Finn Balor and he's wrestling, it should be something completely different, the same way it is with the paint and all that stuff. This isn't the same Finn Balor that you see on Monday Night Raw. This is something completely different, something stronger, something more vicious, more dangerous, and things like that. And that's really the only thing. Like, Finn Balor shouldn't be wrestling the same as he is when he's regular Finn Balor. But the match was solid. I would give it a 7 out of 10 as a grade. Didn't really have no complaints. I don't think they really had like great chemistry, but they got the job done. So 7 out of 10.
Side note, I really appreciated them incorporating Bray's. He's got the whole world in his hands as part of the Balor's entrance. I thought that was really cool. As far as the match, it was nice. It was decent. I think this was more about characters, but then and that's where storytelling really comes into effect because what's wise motivation, like you said. So I think this was more of a character match. But since it didn't really have no motivation behind it, I think the crowd was just like, oh, we'll see the demon entrance, cool, yay. Then we're ready for the next match. Like, and I honestly think, I say this all the time, and I'm a huge fan of Finn Balor. Without the demon, he wouldn't be anything in WWE. He really wouldn't be anything in WWE. Unless he reformed the Balor Club with the Good Brothers. I really think that demon helps him out. It makes him marketable. It makes him larger than life. And that's Vince's whole shtick is being larger than life. And I think that in time they will push Balor heavy. But right now they're just cooling on him because Braun is so hot. And I think they're trying to focus on him while he's hot, like striking while the iron is hot with Braun. And I think once Braun, kind of starts to fizzle out, which I hope he doesn't, but I do believe that there will be a year where Balor will really start to get really, really over. It could be if he reforms the club. It could be when he's a heel. But I do think there will be 1 year where Balor just dominates and he's like really hot and he's really over. And he will reclaim that Universal title. As far as the match, it was decent. I would give it a 7 out of 10 as well. Honestly, I'm tired of Bray Wyatt. I don't want to see Bray Wyatt anymore. I'm tired of after that Orton feud. I'm done. I don't want to see Bray Wyatt anymore. I would much rather see Luke Harper at this point. And you even know that I'm not as high on Luke Harper as you and our friend Jake. I'm not as high on him. But I would rather take Luke Harper over Bray Wyatt any day at this point. It's just annoying. He just talks and he loses. It's just, and when he wins, it's like, you're just going to lose the rematch.
Yeah. Except for with Seth Rollins. He beat Seth Rollins twice.
Yeah, okay. But, yeah, I'm tired of Bray. I honestly would like to see Finn go after The Miz if Roman's not going after The Miz. But, yeah, that's all I have to say. Solid match.
All right. The next match on the show, the 400th match on SummerSlam, was for the Raw Tag Team Championships. And it saw Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins trying to wrestle away the Raw Tag Team Championships from Sheamus and Cesaro. Now, I know that you say that the SmackDown Tag Team Championships was the best tag team match that you've seen in a while. Or is the best match on the show for you, if it wasn't for the Fatal 4-Way. For me, if it wasn't for the Fatal 4-Way, this would have been the best match on the show. Because this match had everything. You have 4 of the best wrestlers on Monday Night Raw fighting over the tag team championships. You have the story of Sheamus and Cesaro, them coming together after feuding just about their entire career with each other, coming together and being one of the best tag teams in WWE right now as far as wrestling. And then, of course, you have Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose, who have been feuding since 2014, them finally coming together again, reforming 2/3 of the Shield, and trying to win the tag team championships. And the story of Seth and Dean putting their differences aside to fight something greater, to try and win the tag team championships, and them actually doing it and seeing how the story was built over the past month and a half or 2 months or whatever it is, I feel like this match was way more gratifying and it felt way better and it was more entertaining to watch than the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. Even though the SmackDown Tag Team Championship match was good, I think this match was that much better because it had the in-ring and all that stuff, as well as the storytelling, as well as the feel-good moment after they won. So, for me, this match was a 9 out of 10 because it had everything. Everything that I look for in a wrestling match. Story out, the build, story in the ring, the moves, had everything. No gripes with this match. None at all. 9 out of 10.
I just want to say, as a Dean Ambrose mark, that I'm happy that he is the first Grand Slam champion out of the Shield. I'm very proud of that. I really feel like this build can go longer than them just winning the tag titles. I really think that this is all leading up to a beautiful heel turn from Dean Ambrose. And it's something that could revitalize him. And it's something that can get Seth more over as a face. And I honestly hope that they have a match at WrestleMania. Because I really love those Summerslam to Mania builds. One recently that I can think of is Jericho and Owens. Starting off as best friends in SummerSlam, tagging against Enzo and Cass, and then going all the way to the Festival of Friendship, the Betrayal. Then they had a pretty good match at Mania. And I think that they can stretch this out all the way to WrestleMania. And I think that the turn should happen at the Royal Rumble. And it will definitely remind me of Owen and Brett. Not saying that it will lead to that type of a classic match, but storytelling-wise, it makes sense to me. And as far as the match, it was really good. Cesaro's a beast, man. Cesaro is a beast. And he was a glorified tag team wrestler in the Indies. So I'm not really upset at the current position he's in right now like most people are. Because that's how he was.
That's how he's always been.
That's how he's always been.
And even on the Indies, he was a better wrestler on the Indies because he didn't have the WWE restriction on him. So if you think that Cesaro is a great wrestler now and he's the best wrestler on Raw or whatever, go back and watch his stuff as Claudio Castagnoli or however you pronounce it. He was amazing back, way better than he is now. But yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt.
And he basically probably had top 10 SummerSlam moment with the beach ball and ripping it to shreds as the crowd just completely popped for him. And yeah, I think it all paid off. And I think they can really stretch this out. And I'm looking forward to the rematch between the two. I'm a big guy on 2 out of 3 falls matches. I know they kind of overdo them now, but I would like to see Dean and Seth and Shamo or Cesarmus or whatever you're going to call them. I would like to see a 2 out of 3 falls with them. And then I would like to see a certain Broken Ones in a ladder match since TLC is a Raw pay-per-view in October against the tag team champions. Or maybe all 3. Put all 3 tag teams in it.
Or the Revival. Because they're supposed to be back in December.
Okay, the Revival. Yeah, the Revival. You know, so I'm going to give this match a 9 out of 10. Thought it was really good. Really, really good. And I'm looking forward to seeing the story play out between Dean and Seth.
Okay. The next match on the card was for the United States Championship. And it saw AJ Styles taking on Kevin Owens with Shane McMahon as the special guest referee in this match. Now, we've had this discussion before. And AJ Styles and Kevin Owens, yes, they're both terrific wrestlers. Arguably if AJ is the best, Kevin Owens is right behind him. If AJ is 1, Kevin Owens is 1A. Like, they're really, really, really good wrestlers. But they've wrestled 3 or 4 times over the past 3 months. And the matches never really seem like they're going all out. And even though this match was the best match that they've had, it seemed like they were holding back, or it seemed like there's something that wasn't there. And maybe it was the crowd really not being into it, but this match didn't seem like an AJ Styles versus Kevin Owens match. It didn't seem like that, like something was missing. But with that being said, it was still a really good match. It didn't live up to the standards that I have for both of the wrestlers involved. Leading up to the match, I don't know how Kevin Owens, he lost the championship in a triple threat. Then the week after, he had his rematch where he got screwed. So he requested a competent referee. So Shane McMahon, who used to be a referee, said, yeah, I'll be the referee for the match at SummerSlam. So leading up to this, they had Kevin Owens and AJ Styles week after week taking out Shane McMahon. So the story, along with the United States Championship, was, will Shane McMahon call this thing down the middle? Especially over the past 2 weeks, he's been laid out by both AJ Styles and Kevin Owens. And even during the match, both AJ Styles and Kevin Owens took him out multiple times. It seemed like a triple threat match, the way Shane McMahon was getting tossed around and thrown out of the ring and 450 splashed on and all that stuff. But I think it was a really good match. Like I said, it didn't live up to the standards that I have for both men, but it was still really, really, really good. The best match that they've had out of the past 4 or 5, excluding the triple threat match. But that one doesn't count because Jericho was in that too. But out of the one-on-one matches that they've had, I feel like this one was the best. And to give it a grade, I would give it a 8 out of 10. But with AJ and Kevin Owens, you expect it to be 5 stars, 10 out of 10, match of the year, and it just wasn't that. I don't know how you feel, but it just wasn't that for me. But yeah, I would give it an 8 out of 10.
Man, compared to last year, I'm sorry, I gotta say this, but AJ hasn't been, like, killing it. I don't know what it is. Compared to last year, all the matches he had, not just on pay-per-view, but on TV, I think he doesn't... I mean, I know he's a really good guy. He's a really grateful guy to even be in the WWE. But I think he really wants to be back in the main event picture. And, you know, I was just counting off the pay-per-view matches he had ever since he came to WWE. And then he still, even at the beginning of the year, he was still strong because he had the great match with Cena at the Rumble. And he had the great Elimination Chamber match, especially the last 10 minutes with Wyatt. And then he had a great match with Shane, which I did not expect. But then this Owens feud, I feel like it slowed him down. Like, and then I think he's about to get in the one with Corbin, and I'm not really feeling that. I want the result to be Corbin to win his first title. You know what I mean? But as far as match quality, I'm not looking forward to it, and I just feel like AJ kind of has slumped since last year. I'm not expecting him to have back-to-back great years like he did last year, but it's just something missing, you know? Like, and I think it was this Owens feud where I was really expecting, like, high-caliber, balls-to-the-wall matches, and they just weren't that, and they just don't have that type of chemistry. They really don't. And then just to add Shane, it was like I love Shane, but no, don't do that. Like, just let them go out there and kill each other. You don't have to. You could set up the Shane and Owens storyline without having Shane as the special guest referee. Like, they were doing it at first. They were setting it up backstage, and I really want to see Owens and Shane. But I just feel like Shane should not have been involved in this match whatsoever. I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. I didn't really like it. I don't really like this feud. I'm glad it's over, and I can't wait for Owens and Shane.
All right. Owens and Shane. Oh, my goodness. So, the next match on the card was the WWE Championship match. And it saw Shinsuke Nakamura trying to take the belt from Jinder Mahal. Yes, Jinder is still the WWE Champion. And he's going to be the WWE Champion for a very long time. I don't think they've toured India yet, so I don't expect him to lose the championship until after that's over. So going into this match, I knew that he was going to win. I was just hoping that WWE was like, he doesn't need to hold the WWE Championship. He's already established as, we're trying to take him serious. Like, he can lose the belt, still tour India and all that stuff, and it'll still be fine. But nope. He beat Shinsuke Nakamura in the ring. 1, 2, 3. And while everyone else was surprised and everyone else couldn't believe that he beat Shinsuke, he handed Shinsuke his first loss since being on the main roster. I knew it was coming, and over the weeks, I came to accept it. So when it happened, I wasn't as mad as everybody else. But leading up to this match, of course, Shinsuke Nakamura beat John Cena, dropped him on his neck, hit him with the Kinshasa, and beat him in the middle of the ring. And then after that, there wasn't really any story or any other build-up other than that. Like, they cut promos and everything like that, but they weren't like amazing stuff like go out of your way to see this if you haven't type of promos or whatever. But I will say, and we talked about this before we actually started recording, minus the build-up and everything, the promo video that they put on before this match was excellent. Like, if you weren't hyped for the match before, that promo video definitely was something to get you hyped, to get you interested in the match. And that was done really, really well. Other than that, this match, I don't think it was good at all. And Ty knows that at one point, I thought Shinsuke Nakamura was the best wrestler in the world. When he came to NXT, he had the great match with Sami Zayn, which didn't get 5 stars. I don't understand that. Didn't get 5 stars. Whatever. He had the great match with Sami Zayn. He had a pretty good match with Austin Aries. He had decent matches with Joe and all that stuff. And then Bobby Roode, he had decent matches with. But since he's come to SmackDown, his work hasn't translated onto the main roster. And it was the same thing with AJ Styles when he first came into the WWE. Yes, he was still AJ Styles, but he wasn't having those great matches that we were used to seeing from AJ Styles. And it's the same thing with Shinsuke Nakamura now. Like, we all know that Nakamura is great. Like, his greatness is undeniable. But his New Japan Shinsuke Nakamura hasn't translated over to WWE. And even in NXT, it looked like he was just going through the motions and having a match and all that stuff outside of the Sami Zayn match. But it's just like he hasn't had the right opponent, or he hasn't had the right opponent. And I don't think he's going to have the right opponent until he faces AJ Styles. So until he faces AJ Styles, I don't see 2013-14 Nakamura, match of the year, best wrestler in the world. I don't expect that, especially with someone like Jinder Mahal, who isn't the worst wrestler on the roster, not anymore, but he's still not. I believe that Jinder Mahal still isn't. He's not accustomed to the main event style of WWE, and he's still learning, and he's still trying to get the hang of it and trying to incorporate his moveset to make it seem like he's a main event guy. But I don't know. Whenever he has these big matches, he just seems like he's nervous. Like when he won the WWE Championship, he looked nervous. Couldn't really see the match in the Punjabi prison, but the match before that they had, he looked nervous. At Money in the Bank, he just looked nervous. And even in this match, he seemed to be doing a little better, but at the end of the match, he looked like he was moving too fast and he couldn't get like himself together, and he ended up botching his finishing move. So I think he's still trying to get used to the main event style, and Shinsuke Nakamura is still trying to get used to the WWE style in general. And I don't think he's going to get to that point until he steps in the ring with AJ. So I had to give this match a grade. I would give it a 5 out of 10. Like I said, I knew Jinder was going to win going into this, so I wasn't very excited. And then the match wasn't really that good either, so I would give it 5 out of 10.
Okay, so as Tony knows, when it comes to the New Japan wrestlers who come to the WWE or just New Japan in general, I was never really a big fan of Shinsuke. I like his presence. I like that he really oozes charisma, but I called it. I called it after the Aries match. I was like, I think Knock is he's just coasting. Like, where's that fire he had with Sami Zayn? It just wasn't there. And then people telling me, oh, he's a babyface. He's supposed to be on his back for most of the match and then make the comeback. But he's the king of strong style. He's supposed to be murdering people. For any of my indie, fans who watch this podcast or listen to this podcast, please go watch Shinsuke versus Zack Sabre Jr. in Revolutionary Pro Wrestling. He was killing Zack Sabre. Like, killing Zack Sabre. And he was a babyface. And it's like, I get that there's two different styles between indie wrestling and WWE. But he still gotta, I think Shinsuke should still be like, I want to be a killer. Like, I'm going to go after it. Like, I get there's going to be parts of the match where he will be on his back. And I understand that's the babyface formula. But for Shinsuke, he's supposed to be this world-traveled, war-torn wrestler who is the king of this certain style of wrestling that is really brutal and really taxing on the body. And he just hasn't shown that since the Sami Zayn match. Like, he really hasn't. The only thing I can think of that was somewhat strong style was when he threw Cena and Cena landed on his neck. I just don't see it with Shinsuke. And honestly, after this AJ match that he hopefully has at WrestleMania, they basically done Cena and Nakamura. I'm not excited really for that anymore. The only match that after AJ that they can do that I would be excited for is him and Brock. That's not really believable given what happened in the main event of this show. But other than AJ, that's the only match I really want to see. And apparently Shinsuke's contract is up 2019. I don't really see him stand, especially with the boom that the promotion that he left for WWE is going through. He did it. He's doing his thing. He has an all-time classic in WWE from NXT with Sami Zayn. He can put on a classic WrestleMania match with AJ. He can win the WWE title. That's it. That's all he has to do. I don't want him to stay that much longer after he completes those three things. I really don't. And as far as Jinder, I'm a fan of Jinder. I respect Jinder. I think it's getting to the point where I want to see someone defeat him, and that's a good thing because he's a heel. I'm supposed to want to be pressed, be foaming at the mouth for someone to defeat him. I don't know who that's going to be now. If it's not going to be Shinsuke, Because if Shinsuke beats Nakamura at Hell in a Cell...
Gender. If Shinsuke beats Gender.
What'd I say? Shinsuke beats
Nakamura.
God. Sorry, folks. If Shinsuke defeats Gender at, say, Hell in a Cell... over SummerSlam? No, not even Survivor Series. Could it happen at the Rumble? Could Gender defeat Nakamura one more time at Hell in a Cell, and then at Survivor Series, let's say if they had a team Survivor Series match, let's say if it was Team Owens versus Team Shane, and Shinsuke and Mahal were on their respective sides of their spectrum in terms of babyface and heel, and Shinsuke pins Gender in that match, and then that warrants another shot at the Royal Rumble, then you can give Shinsuke the title. But don't do it at Hell in a Cell. Please don't. Don't do it at Clash of Champions in December, because that's the SmackDown pay-per-view for December. Don't do it there. Do it at a big show. Save your moments and your matches, please. Please. I'm telling you, it will pay off tremendously. I felt the match was decent. I think Gender is a pretty good worker. Like, I'm not one of those people who feel like you gotta do 450 splashes and do these Will Ospreay type moves to be, a great worker. There's different styles in wrestling, and I think Gender's style, that big, slow paced, grappler, I think it works for him. And I like the spot in the match when he copied Shinsuke's come on. And I love the Singh brothers, especially that one who be taking the nasty bumps. Like, he be going hard. He be trying to earn his meal ticket. But as far as a grading for this match, I'm going to go 5.5. I think this match, too, they were holding back. I just don't want to see them at Hell in a Cell. I really don't. Because there's no SmackDown pay-per-view announced for September. So I think their next match is going to be in Hell in a Cell. Or, since they love doing so much stuff on TV, Shinsuke might beat him on a random SmackDown. I don't know. But I know wherever the title change happens, it can't be at that pay-per-view. I don't want to see that. No. But, yeah, that's just my thoughts on that match.
All right. So we both gave it 5. You gave it a 5. You gave it a 5.5. I gave it a 5. Now, the main event, the match that I personally, this match, and probably Seth and Dean and Sheamus and Cesaro, this was really the only match I really, really, really wanted to see, because it featured 3 of my favorites right now. And is the main event, fatal 4-way match for the Universal Championship. Brock Lesnar defending against Roman Reigns, Braun Strowman, and Samoa Joe.
King Samoa Joe.
Regular Samoa Joe.
King Samoa Joe.
So, this match, leading up to it, after Payback, after Roman Reigns attempted to murder Braun Strowman, came out... Great Balls of Fire, I'm sorry. He said that he is the number 1 contender for the Universal Championship. And of course, Braun Strowman, who had beat Roman Reigns at Great Balls of Fire, and Samoa Joe, who felt as if he could have beaten Lesnar, had he was good. But they both felt as if Roman didn't deserve that spot. And Kurt Angle couldn't really figure out who to give the spot to. So instead of, doing the triple threat match on Raw or whatever to name number 1 contender like any other person would, he says, I'm going to put all 4 of you in a match for the Universal Championship. And, of course, Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman had an issue with it. And Heyman said if Lesnar loses at SummerSlam, then he's leaving WWE. And there are rumors of Brock Lesnar not re-signing with WWE and going back to the UFC. So this little piece added some more intrigue onto a match where really anybody could have been the Universal Champion. They could have won and it would have been perfectly fine. Braun Strowman, who is probably the hottest star on Monday Night Raw now. Roman Reigns, the most controversial star in WWE in the past decade since Cena. Samoa Joe, the established indie wrestler who is finally in WWE, which people wanted to see. And then you have Brock Lesnar, the champion, the guy that nobody can beat apparently, except for The Undertaker and Goldberg. Nobody can beat Brock Lesnar. So any of these guys realistically could have won this match. Now, the match itself was everything that I expected it to be. 4 guys, 4 heavyweights. I've never seen a fatal 4-way match like this, where it consisted of 4 guys near 300 pounds. I've never seen a match like this before. And they went out there and they beat the crap out of each other, especially Braun Strowman and Brock Lesnar. I've never seen Brock Lesnar ever get manhandled in his entire career in WWE. And Braun Strowman has changed that perception of Brock Lesnar to everyone in a matter of minutes. He put Brock Lesnar through 2 tables, and then on Monday Night Raw, Brock Lesnar tried to attack Strowman. Strowman wasn't having it, and Strowman laid him out again. So they have a story going forward now with Strowman and Lesnar. But the match itself was excellent. The only gripe that I have with the match is that whenever Brock Lesnar is in these multiple man matches, he does the same thing where people put him through tables and he sits out the majority of the match, and then everybody else has a match around him, and then he comes back and wins. That was the only bad thing about this match. Everything else was perfect. Roman Reigns, he's always going to deliver. Samoa Joe is always going to deliver. Braun Strowman at this point is looking like he's always going to deliver too, no matter who he's in there with. And then you add on Brock Lesnar, who can have a good match. All 4 of these men had an excellent, excellent match. And in my opinion, the best match in WWE for the year 2017. Just WWE. But the best match in WWE of 2017 happened, the main event of SummerSlam. I would give this match a 10 out of 10. And if it had not been for this match right here, there would be nothing to watch realistically on SummerSlam outside of the 2 tag team title matches. But this match was something special. So I would give it a 10 out of 10.
I really, really, really am proud of Braun Strowman. I just want to say that I'm really proud of Braun Strowman. And I feel like he has really come along. And I really feel like he is now a main event player. He is the truth. He is the real deal. He is the man. He just has to beat the man to be the man. And he will do that at No Mercy. He will do that. That is my early prediction. He will defeat Brock Lesnar at No Mercy. He is too hot. The kettle is too hot. They have to put the belt on him now. And I'm a Samoa Joe freaking super fan. And I really feel like it's Braun's time. It's Braun's moment. It's his chance. The match was really excellent just because of Braun. All 4 men did really good. All 4 men delivered. But Braun stood out. This was his star-making performance. This was him really grabbing the brass ring. The imaginary brass ring. He grabbed it. and now he yanked it. He's holding on to it by a string, and now he's dangling it on the mountaintop to Brock Lesnar. And now Brock Lesnar is coming up to the mountain, and they're going to have a clash at No Mercy. And it's going to be, in the words of the great Bobby Roode, glorious. And this match is going to get, from me, a 10 out of 10. I was going to try to take a shot at a certain wrestling observer and try to break the scale, but I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to go with 10 out of 10. And I'm happy because SummerSlam is my favorite show of the year. This one wasn't that good, but it will be remembered for this main event. And this main event is what a main event is supposed to be. It's supposed to be anticipated. And this was probably the most anticipated main event in SummerSlam since Brock versus Rock. And all 4 men delivered. A star was born, or a star shined brighter than he's been shining all year. And I can't wait for him and Brock to tear the house down at No Mercy. And I hope Braun becomes Universal Champion.
So, this was a pretty bad show. So now we're going to give the show a grade out of 10. For me, if you didn't see the show, the only matches that I would recommend are the 2 tag team matches and the main event. Everything else, you can skip. Because everything else, it was either okay or it was bad. So for me, I would give SummerSlam 2017 a 5 out of 10. Simply because the main event and the 2 tag team matches were so well. If one of those matches wasn't as good as I feel, it would be something lower. But because of those 3 matches, I would give it a 5 out of 10.
I'm going to go with 6 out of 10, 6.5. I just feel like the shows are too long. If you just trim the fat, I'm not a person. Look, I know the wrestlers work hard all year, but if you just not gonna make the card, you just not gonna make the card. You know. And another thing is card structure. I feel like they gotta work on putting matches in certain spots right, and I think they should back heavy the show. I think they should put the absolute best matches on last, which they did. They tried to, but it just didn't register well. They put other than the New Day Usos, the last 5 matches, I want to say, were the biggest, to me at least. So they did that right. It just didn't register with the crowd. But again, these shows just too long. I have no problem. I'm not saying they should do 5 matches like TakeOver, but it should not be 12, 13 matches. It should just be how it was back in the day when it was 8. And if you don't make the card, that should motivate you to want to be on a SummerSlam card or a WrestleMania card. Because you can tell when there's no hustle when you're on those type shows, because you feel like, oh, next year it's no problem. I'm going to be on WrestleMania because they fit everybody on there now. Instead of working harder because they do work really hard, but work harder to try to really make a prominent spot at WrestleMania or SummerSlam or Royal Rumble or Survivor Series. Yeah, I would give it a 6.5 out of 10 just because it was just too long and some of the matches just weren't really needed. And the main event delivered, the tag matches delivered. I enjoyed Naomi and Natalya. Rusev and Orton, thank goodness it was a squash match. I got to see Demon Balor. And also that extra 5 points goes to King Samoa Joe for being in the main event. Yeah, just overall decent SummerSlam. and I'm honestly excited for what they do with Survivor Series. I think Survivor Series this year is going to be really good if they stick to the whole Raw versus SmackDown deal and they give me matches, interpromotional matches that really I can sink my teeth into. And I'm honestly looking forward to No Mercy. Don't give me Cena and Roman on No Mercy, but I'm looking forward to No Mercy. Given the rematch between Dean and Seth and Shamo, and a possible stipulation match for Sasha and Alexa, and Braun Strowman versus Brock Lesnar. Like, I'm excited for No Mercy, to be honest. So I'm glad that there was a positive fallout to a decent SummerSlam.
All right, so that's it. I'll try and have Ty on as frequently as possible because it's a little bit easier than just talking to myself when recording these. So I'll try to have him on as frequently as possible. But this has been SummerSlam 2017. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. And we out.